When the chairman of the board died in 1928, he left over $1 million to his estate. 12 years later, in 1940, the tanker ship that had been christened in his name was sunk off the coast of France during World War II. It was the victim of a German aircraft. As you know from an earlier video, Seep was an original employee of Rockefeller's Southern Improvement Company, and he single-handedly set the price of all crude oil east of the Mississippi River. He was president of Pennzoil, chairman of Oil City Trust Company, owner of a mine and smelting supply company in Denver, and the Central Kentucky Gas Company, just to name a few. To reward his accomplishments, or perhaps to honor his loyalty to Rockefeller, Standard Oil named a steamship after him, and it was launched into the Delaware River in October 1920. His immediate family watched from the Chester shipyards, and his granddaughter, Marian Quinby, christened the ship. 20 years later, the vessel, made up of a Canadian crew, left Palestine with a cargo of Iraqi crude oil on April 28th, and it sailed through the dangerous Mediterranean Sea and to the coast of France, when a German aircraft dropped mines near it, and one fell 3 feet of her port side. The crew weighed anchor, and after the minesweepers had cleared the channel, the vessel hit a mine on May 25th as it was leaving port. The explosion flooded the forward compartment, and the ship began to sink. All crewmen were saved, and the Joseph Seep was reported as a total loss. When Marian christened the ship, she was 19 years old, living in New York City, attending Columbia University. It appears she had a solid education, starting with St. Joseph's Academy in Titusville, a once private academy for girls, which opened its doors in 1870, the same year Standard Oil came to town. She also attended a prep school in Georgetown and St. Mary's Liberal Arts College in Indiana. I'm sure her training in the art of entertaining was useful when she hosted a luncheon after the christening. Now, in 1940, when the ship sank, she was living near Santa Barbara, California, with her husband. And it looks like she had a lifetime of travel and international relations, as she married an Irishman, Lieutenant Colonel Noel Lombard Craig, in June of 1926, who was a British diplomat and engaged in foreign policy. Now, I can't help but be curious if Marian witnessed the aerial battle that took place over the Pacific Ocean in late February 1942, today called the Battle of Los Angeles. Then it was reported as an invasion, and it was witnessed as far north as Santa Barbara and south as Long Beach. Some reports say it was alien spacecraft, while others believed it to be a Japanese aircraft attack, similar to Pearl Harbor. Shell concussions were felt in Los Angeles, and gunfire could be heard around 2:30 a.m. when all Southern California radio stations were ordered off the air. The barrage of gunfire glowed red in the night sky, and anti-aircraft searchlights lit up the sky. Most people reported hearing planes in the air, and the battle lasted for about 1 hour, and then it stopped. It resumed again at 4 a.m., started out to sea, and took a southeast course. What's interesting, the activities occurred over oil fields, refineries, tanks, and aircraft factories. The Secretary of the Navy denied that enemy planes were over Los Angeles and that there were no bombs ever dropped. However, this photo of Captain Carnahan of the Los Angeles Police found a 75mm shell near Pico Boulevard and Patricia Street. Another news clip reports a shell exploded in the yard of a home in southwest Los Angeles, and it tore down telephone and electric wires, broke windows, and caused minor damage to a nearby structure. Meanwhile, up in Santa Barbara, citizens reported a Japanese submarine firing on the Elwood oil field. The coastal newspapers reported it as the first attack on the continental United States since Pearl Harbor. But weeks later, the entire story disappeared, and to this day, not many are familiar with it. Before the young couple married, Colonel Craig studied at Trinity College in Dublin, and he received the Sword of Honor. He served in World War I, and during World War II was attached to the British Embassy, and he retired in 1954. He was also a barrister of Lincoln's Inn, London, and he wrote several novels and short stories for British and American magazines. It's unknown to me when they met, but I'm sure I might get a clue if I could get my hands on this book. After Craig's decorated military career, he tried his hand at writing, and he wrote detective novels. And this one about a British officer who marries a wealthy American girl. I have to say, there must be something about those Seep women, for the jacket of the novel appears to be related to their courtship and a tribute to his beautiful wife. If anyone has read it or has a copy, please comment below. In her husband's later years, the couple lived quietly in Titusville until his death in 1968. Marian continued to travel after his death and lived abroad in various countries. Later living in Glen Cottage, a castle in Ireland near her daughter in County Wicklow. And she died while vacationing in Switzerland after what I can only assume was a fascinating and incredible life. If any of my viewers have a bio on this fabulous woman, would you kindly share it with me? I would love to tell her story here. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.